So we've all had that bike that you've wanted since you were a kid. One of those being for me was a Honda Cub EZ90. I don't remember exactly how old I was when I saw this for the first time. I remember seeing one in the pits at a drag race, and this thing burnt an image in my head forever. And every single time I saw one, it made me want one more and more. Honda Cubs are just so iconic, and they've always been like a staple in like the two-stroke world and also in the mini bike world. There's very few iconic bikes that really blew up. I built this thing from pretty much completely scraps. We had 2 bikes and we went through the whole entire thing restoring this bike, and now this bike sits so pretty. This was seriously like a dream come true to me and out of my like prized possessions. I have not even thought about selling this bike one time, and I took so much time to find all the right pieces for it. Going on too much of a tangent on how much I love the Cub, I just want to say that these rare mini bikes are so special, and I absolutely love working on these. And now we have another very special bike, a very fun project here that we're going to be showing you guys right now. So without further ado, let me pull it out and show you guys. We have now added another very rare 2-stroke gem to the channel, boys. We have a Yamaha YSR50. I have always wanted one of these. Not only are these very hard to find, but damn, they get expensive. With the ability to actually get this on the channel and get this project going, I have to give a huge shout out to Team Calamari. If you aren't familiar, is now a sister company to Scooter Swap Shop. Scooter Swap Shop owns Team Calamari now, which is the huge online store, online parts supplier for the Yamaha YSR50. I'm very stoked that Team Calamari let me grab this YSR off of them so I can build it on the channel for myself, for you guys to enjoy as well as trying a bunch of the parts that they're going to be producing here for these bikes very, very soon. And of course, how every project we get on this channel, not by any means is this thing in good or running condition right now. So we're going to do a once over right now. We need to make ourselves a list because we haven't even gone over everything that's missing here. The noticeable parts that we are missing because, well, we're missing kind of a lot. First things first, as you can see here, kickstand sensor, I believe. A lot of things are not looking too great on here, I'm not gonna lie. We need a kickstand. Chain is bad. Chain is pretty rough. It's very, very, very crunchy. Key ignition. Tires are, as you can see, completely shot. We do have another set of wheels and tires over here, and the tires are good on there. So, wheels and tires, check. Now, on the drive back, I realized when this thing was strapped down that the forks were completely blown out, and basically the entire fluid came out of the forks. So possibly fork rebuild. Clutch lever, it's not terrible, but it is cracked on both clutch and brake. We're also missing the Kickstarter, and it not only is missing, it looks to be completely sheared off. So that's not looking too good. It is now time to do what we do and completely strip this bike down and get the best look at it. So let's get this thing down to its bare bones, boys. We have accumulated multiple projects in the background of all these videos lately, and I feel like it's only right, since we're revealing a project right now, just to show you guys the rest of the projects that we have. All right, I can't believe I'm saying this, but we have yet again another Honda Cub EZ90 here. We got this one for a decent deal. If you know Honda Cubs, they're very, very expensive. It came with every plastic piece you need. Missing the seat, and I believe it's missing the actual glove box cover. All the plastic pieces I have for it are kind of tucked away in some of the bins right now, but I just kind of want to show the project in general. And I also wanted to get some insight from you guys on this, because this one I wanted to do a clean restore because it was already pretty damn clean. The actual paint and majority of the pieces itself, very minimal rust, and it was in very good condition. It's also a titled bike, so I went with a complete restore on that one. I didn't want to add too many aftermarket pieces or do anything too crazy to risk damaging it, etc., etc. Now this one, on the other hand, I want a Honda Cub that I can jump. I've always wanted to go thrash one off-road as they're meant to be. Let me know down in the comments what you think we should do to it. I've talked to my friend Andrew out in Italy, who builds these all the time, puts bigger cylinder kits on it, sometimes even stroker engines. I don't know if we're gonna go that far into it because it is a super ton of work on these engines to get to that point. I would love to do for sure an exhaust and make this thing have a little more get to it. So we're gonna be messing with this one, and I wanna jump this thing. I wanna have some serious fun with this one. I'm slowly accumulating some of the necessity parts that we're missing. We'll be starting this thing up and working on this thing very, very soon on the channel. I need to know what you guys wanna see with this thing. I'm not gonna spend all the money on fixing all this broken powder coat and all these rusty spots on here. As you can tell, this one's in not by any means a clean condition. Going on to yet another project. As you saw, we had that Honda Elite that we got, the yellow one. That is a project going on in the background that's gonna be a very special build right here that you guys will see a whole video on here very, very soon. Just thought I'd mention that just for the few people who have asked about that Honda Elite build that we were doing kind of like a mild build for. That thing is in the works right now, boys, so stay tuned for that. Let's get to stripping down this YSR. We have to get all these panels off so we can truly see what we're missing underneath this bike. So far, I'm noticing that this bike is actually in really good condition under all these panels, which is a very, very good sign. All right, as you can see, our list is now stacking up a little bit. So kickstand chain, key ignition fork rebuild, possibly. Clutch and brake levers, kickstart, exhaust, front fairing mounting hardware, key ignition, clutch cable, front master. Front master might be able to be rebuilt. Now begins the parts searching for these bikes, but basically it's seized in there. So we have no front brake right now. Do people trust the oil tank in these? Are these prone to fail or not? You know, this is a bike from 1989, so who knows about the oil pump. But as you can see, our actual shifter shaft for the kickstart is completely sheared off. So that's going to be probably one of the more expensive items. Hopefully we can source one of those. Hopefully Brandon has one. This is a little interesting. Most of the wiring is fine. I took off the blinkers because the blinkers were broken. It was duct taped on. It was hanging there. Looked terrible. So I took that off. I'm assuming this is the battery tray. Obviously missing a battery. That's pretty much it. Wrapping up this side of the bike. Like I said, the master. Key ignition. This thing is, God knows what happened there. But I wonder how hard a key ignition is to find for one of these. So we're going to do some research, and then we'll get back at the end of this video with the list on what we have to find. But clutch cable, definitely aged. It's not looking the best. It looks like we don't even have our Speedo hooked up at all. So maybe we can find a Speedo cable. Not necessary, but if we want to make it clean. Kickstand sensor looks pretty toasted. It's actually snapped off. I could see the bolts are stuck in there. So we'll probably end up deleting that. We'll look, see if we have to connect any of the wires, but we'll probably end up deleting that. It tracks back to up here. Kind of crazy how the shifter goes backwards on the engine because where your feet are placed on this, because of it being so small, your feet are back far, you know? I was really hoping to get the bike started in this video, not necessarily anywhere near done, but I just wanted to hear it fire up. But that doesn't look like a possibility. Key ignition, it possibly might work being unplugged, but we also have no way to start this thing. This thing's kickstart only. The kickstart shaft's completely broken right now. So we could bump start it, but in order to bump start it, we have to put on our other wheels and tires because these wheels and tires are completely shot, and we'd have to make this thing kind of like rideable for a second so I can like push it. It has 0 brakes right now, so it'd be a little sketchy to do that. We got a weird like boost bottle situation, almost OEM. So to the intake, it's got this big line and there's like a plastic little box. I've also heard that boost bottles can kind of be a myth, but I'm assuming on the factory one, kind of like how the Banshees have the intakes connected in a way, it's, I don't know, probably a little bit more different design, but not too sure exactly how it's set up for stock bikes, but a little curious on that. Now, and pull the carb off. This carb looks pretty filthy, so we'll probably put it in the ultrasonic cleaner, let that thing soak up a little bit, and we're going to go ahead and do some part searching and get back to you guys on what we're looking like here. All right, so like I mentioned, we're going to pull this carb off and get this thing in the ultrasonic cleaner. I'm still not positive we're going to be running this carb because I've seen a lot of people go to an aftermarket carb like a Polini CP carb and run those as well when they're doing exhaust and mods to these bikes. So we went ahead and popped the plug out. The plug looks color-wise okay, but there's a lot of crud on this plug, but it also hasn't ran in years, so not much we can read off there. Pulled the drain plug out of the gearbox, which is surprisingly a really, really long bolt for a drain plug bolt. I thought that was pretty interesting, but we had some chunky little rubber pieces coming out of the gearbox, which was kind of interesting as well. We actually discover what those are once we get this cover popped off, which is holding in our broken kickstart shaft. So we got to remove everything here, popping off the oil pump cover, and I realized right here that the oil pump was leaking bad. You can see a pool of oil below there, so the actual seal from the oil pump to that case is toasted, but I believe we're going to be running premix anyways, So I'm probably gonna delete that oil pump along with the oil tanks. Now we're getting the carb all stripped down. Like I mentioned, we're gonna be throwing it in the ultrasonic cleaner. So we took every little bit and piece out of the carburetor so we can get the carb body and then all the other bits in there. Let that thing soak up while we continue working on the side case over here. Checking out that actual kickstart shaft, it looks like we have to remove the clutch and possibly the clutch basket to get to there. All right, let's get them out of here. See how we're looking on here now. Woo! She is steamy. All right, boys, here is where we currently stand on the YSR50. We went ahead, as you saw, we pulled off our side case here. We drained everything out of there. We're not gonna go too much more on stripping this thing down other than probably pulling off the intake. We're probably gonna put better carbon reeds in there and a few little bits like that. But as expected, I kind of knew this would be the ending piece on the YSR50 because I wasn't sure what we were gonna order until we got it taken apart. Out of the ultrasonic cleaner, we got our carb now and it's looking pretty damn clean. We're still gonna go in here, fine clean everything, but we got all the nuts and bolts and everything looking pretty good on the carb. And obviously, I just made a quick list on eBay just to get an idea of everything. We're still gonna fish and see what we can get brand new off Team Calamari and then what we have to buy used off eBay. But in general, this is everything we're gonna need. Fork oils and seal kit. We're gonna need an ignition. We're gonna need a battery. We're gonna need a speedometer cable. We got the gasket seal kit for everything we'll need on the intake and then the side case, of course. New chain. We got the front master cylinder kit because ours is seized. Lever. We got the Kickstarter shaft and a kickstart, and obviously the other brake lever. Looking at about $400. But that in general is all the pieces we're gonna need to really get started on this bike, to get this bike as a running bike. So I mentioned in the beginning of this video that I want to show you all the projects that we got in the background. There's still 2 more projects. For those of you who might have not seen it in the short little clip that we put in our other video, let me show you guys something. This is my E46 M3 project that we're going to be pulling up here on the channel very, very soon because we got some things to do to it. Simple, has like the CSL style rep wheels on it. It's on BC Racing coilovers. It's sitting pretty damn good on here. There's minor damage to the outside of it, other than some paint peel here and bad window seals kind of around the car, just bad rubber seals. Not gonna show too much because I want to save this, but I'll show you where we stand right now. Brand new reupholstered seats, so the interior is pretty damn clean. Obviously 6-speed manual. Looks a little rough down there on the floors right now, even though I had them shampooed a couple weeks ago. But overall, super clean on the inside. With the M3, that is going to be like my daily driver. I actually bought that when we were in Portland. I drove it all the way down here. It drove 1,600 miles, like right when I got the car, and I put about 2,000 on it already in just like the last month. So absolutely loving that car, but there's a few things that we're gonna need to do to that thing. And if you know anything about E46s, you know that the rear subframe mounting points on the chassis are absolutely terrible. It's like literally sheet metal and it just shears and twists off. So we're gonna be doing the reinforcement, which I've done on my E36 before, welding reinforcements to the body, so we gotta drop the entire subframe. We're also gonna be resealing the diff. We're gonna be doing a bunch of things like that very soon on that car and some performance mods. So that's gonna be something of its own. I just wanted to show you guys who haven't seen that yet that we did scoop that up for some of the car guys that are here deep on the channel. And speaking of cars, if you haven't noticed this in the background of the videos for the last couple months, down here is yet another E36 coupe. I don't feel like pulling the tarp completely off, but you guys get the deal. A blue E36 coupe. This is a rolling shell, black interior, also a manual. That car, I don't know what we're doing with yet. I scooped that up and I was gonna do an LS swap for a daily, and then I ended up getting the M3 for the daily. So now we have an extra E36 shell back there. I don't know what we're gonna do. You guys are all caught up now on all the projects we got going on in the MOPBOYZ garage. That is gonna do it for this video. Make sure you guys stay tuned for what's to come next, and I'll see you guys in the next video.